What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 1on1Soul. This time, another guest episode.
A very special guest.
Very special guest.
The one and only.
Clarkson.
Yeah.
Kelly Clarkson.
Season 1 American Idol winner in the house.
That's
Kelly
right.
Clarkson.
She's in budget and right here.
So, Kelly, what led you to this path in your career?
Oh, dude. I just like helping the community.
Oh.
Yeah, well, good.
We respect that.
We're a part of that, so that's great.
Yeah. You know, the kids. And yeah.
I know the kids.
The youth.
The youth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is extra special episode. You want to tell your real name now?
I'm Teezy. What's up? What's up?
This is our very good friend Teezy. We've known for a couple years now.
Yeah.
Makes some incredible music. We're happy to have him on to chat about a tune that he likes and one that we like.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
music.
We talking about music.
Yeah, we are. You want to talk about your music before we jump in? Kind of give your own little spiel first.
My music is basically heaven in audio form, and probably could bring world peace if Spotify would boost the algorithm a little bit, but
Yeah.
we're not going to talk about that.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a conspiracy, but it's also scientifically backed, so...
Yeah.
But
Oddly enough, I feel like you could also put Jacob Collier in that category, but that's not here nor there.
yeah, me and Jacob go way back, dude. Like, I remember back when he was just Jacob Call, and then he added the year. So.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know, dude, but yeah, no, I just like making music. I make a lot of different stuff. It's usually in the melodic rap or somewhat pop R&B category, but I just like having fun making music. Music's just basically my entire life, so I just like it. And even if it's not stuff that I release for myself as an artist, I like producing for other people too and stuff, and making different genres and stuff. So I just like to have fun and do what I love, and that's just music. I just love music.
Absolutely. Just making an adjustment there. So yeah, what have you brought us today? What whimsical little thing are we listening to here?
So this is a song called "You Can Fly on My Aeroplane" by a band called We, for Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey.
And when it's a band called We, in reality, it's just one guy who kind of just led and wrote the whole thing, named Norman Whiteside.
That's a name.
I got
Kind of goes hard.
That's a name.
I got kind of a story about the song and the album it's on and stuff, but I'll wait to tell you about it till after we listen to it. But it's just a banger. I found it like probably 6 months ago on like an Apple Music radio. Like I was just listening. I was listening to a radio station based off of I think it was Brandy's first album. Like what's the song that I really like? It's number 10 on Brandy's first album. It's
that's We Are the Champions, yeah.
No, it's why am I blanking on this? This is like my
You even have album position? Like, come on, you're that close.
You're right there.
I don't know. I was listening to a Brandy radio station, and I really want to think of his name right now, dude. I'm
look it up.
Whatever. I was listening to a Brandy radio station on Apple Music, and this just randomly came up, and these guys aren't like huge, but one thing about this song, it was the only reason that this song in particular I think has some buzz behind it is because it was sampled by both Kanye and Tyler a while ago.
Yeah. I do just be sampling, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good. I just heard it, and I'm finding the thing always on my mind.
Okay.
That's what it is. I was thinking, I knew the word always, and for some reason the only song I could think of was Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey, which is the same sort of subgenre, but Always on My Mind by Brandy. Another gas song. Talk about it another time. But I was listening to a radio station for that, and this just randomly came on. So
yeah.
And this album just became one of my favorite pieces of work to ever exist. So
High praise, yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's maybe setting up Teezy episode 2.
I think it's from like 78. I think is when this dropped. It's got kind of it's got like a 80s and early 90s like R&B soul feel to it, but it was released way before that, and so it was kind of ahead of its time a little bit.
Oh yeah, I love stuff like that.
And it's just kind of sick. But we can talk about there's a story behind the song that I want to get into, but it's a long story, so we'll listen to the song.
All right. Cool. And if there's ever a moment you want to pause and ask how we're doing, feel free to feel free to take the space bar.
Skull Candy headphones going on.
Represent.
Check me out. I'm gonna put the mic down.
They match the fit.
They never had
really honestly, this is a really well coordinated effort on the couch by just pure accident.
They've never had swag like us right now.
This is like the most dripped out couch you've ever seen.
Bro.
Put us on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah, please.
Put us on a billboard.
Love that. Please.
All right. We're gonna run this.
You can fly my aeroplane.
Fly on my aeroplane.
On my aeroplane.
They don't have their pilot's license yet.
Yeah, I don't have my reading license yet.
All right. Let's go. Ooh.
Yeah, okay. All right. Let's go.
Ooh.
Sitting high on the windowsill.
Oh yeah.
Way up high is my home. Look across the new carpet grass, destined to roam.
I can get the innovation in the genre for sure.
Dream of flying along the way.
That bass is grooving, man.
Oh, I know.
Make an airplane out of paper just so we can fly. Lady among the stars.
Oh yeah. That's lovely.
If you got the time, the pleasure is mine.
I love all the percussion too.
I know.
Can fly on my aeroplane. It's all about love and spirits above. Dream the way that you wanna go.
Picking up on the bass over there, I can see.
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts
Yeah, the bass lines are crazy.
Yeah. Very well synced to the percussive elements too.
I'll take you the right way.
I'm just enthralled with the synth just flying along the top. It's nice.
We can orbit the planet love if we really just try. Have the right kind of faith in me so we can fly. Maybe among the clouds.
That turn is so incredible.
Oh, baby, you can fly on my aeroplane.
This is a groove, like an entire groove.
The pleasure is mine. Can fly on my aeroplane. Yeah, we would be just you and just me.
So many tasty guitar licks in there
Yeah.
as well.
I've just noticed the guitar. It's just
Yeah. Just that
Cutting
ear
out
candy.
there.
Yeah, there's that ear candy everywhere.
Oh, baby, you can fly on my aeroplane. If you got the time, the pleasure is mine. Baby, you can fly on my aeroplane.
That's what it needed.
It's all about and spirits above.
That key change.
Hey, yeah.
That key change, bro.
We're flying now.
This chorus is like so memorable too.
It is,
I
yeah.
love it.
I can already tell this is gonna stick with me.
Listen to the key solo in the background.
There's been a lot of that, honestly, and I love that as a key
The
player.
way he's dancing around the keys.
The phrase is like, lead can be rhythm. It's absolutely proves it.
This section is like almost like church, you know, like when they just repeat it. Just keep hitting these crazy licks over the top.
Just keep lifting it higher and higher and higher, which is really what it needs. Now focus on the instruments that are soloing, yeah. Such a good moment.
Huh?
This is such a good moment.
Yeah. This, driving down the road, windows down at like 10 at night. You're like coming back from getting a drink at the gas station or something, bro.
Either that or like this is one of those moments where like the movie depictions of cruising down the beach.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
On the coast.
Oh yeah.
It's like silk sheets flying in the wind and fucking people all in these pressed white suits and gold chains just like singing in a big choir on a beach somewhere. Like, I don't know, dude. It's just insane.
Feels good.
That felt
It's
so
just
good.
insane, dude.
That was lovely.
Now, when I found that song, right, I loved it immediately. Like,
Understandable.
stylistic, one of my favorite songs to exist, right?
Yeah.
Already loved it. It kind of gave me, before I found this, I found there's a record by Ramsey Lewis called Sun Goddess featuring Earth, Wind and Fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also there's it's like a French fusion jazz artist called Cortex.
Yeah, I know of him. Yeah.
And there's a song that they have, it's like number 3 on their Blue album. It's Lefante Samba or something. And those songs, what it is the choruses are not words. They're just like for example, the Earth, Wind and Fire Ramsey Lewis song, the chorus is just Earth, Wind and Fire going ba ba da ba ba da ba da ba.
I feel like I've heard that. Yeah.
Ba 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 do, and it just builds and builds and builds and then goes into solos, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with the Lefante Samba, the main chorus is just some women just singing, just in this big vocal stack. And so this the whole second half of the song is just the occasional big vocal stack of just you.
Yeah.
And then
crazy.
a solo.
Yeah.
And it's like the production on it is crazy. So already stylistically, I loved this song. Like this is something I was listening to heavy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why? Like, obviously a lot of people heard of Ramsey Lewis. You see his records everywhere.
Right.
A lot of people heard of like Earth, Wind and Fire, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This was like out slightly before a lot of those big records came out. Why have people not heard of this, right? And so I'm like, okay, I need to figure out, me personally, if I really love something, I'm diving as deep into the backstory of it as possible. So I start looking up, okay, what is this band? When is this from? Like, whatever. Found out it's from 1977. Okay, that's when this album came out. And the style of it is a lot of like that later 80s, early 90s stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, this is not taking influence from those people. This was doing it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like, okay, let me read up on how this song came to be. So this is where it gets interesting, and this is why I'm obsessed with this album so much, is the story behind it. There's this dude in Cleveland, Ohio named Norman Whiteside. Okay? Norman is to put it simply, at the time, just a criminal. Okay?
Yeah.
All he does, he can't keep a steady job, he can't make ends meet, so he just steals and sells drugs and stuff to get by. That's how he makes a living, right? And so he wants to get out of that because all bro really cares, like he's just doing that to make ends meet because that's the only way he knows how.
Right.
But all he really cares about is music, right? He's obsessed with it.
Right.
And he plays the keys. He's really good at it. One day he is at a show for some other like soul band or whatever, right? Meets this dude who's like, and the guy is also the head of a local label in Cleveland. Okay. Now Norman tries to show him, hey, this is like the type of music I do. This is what I want to play for people. And he's like, thanks, but we're not really interested.
Yeah.
But you're good at it. If you want to hang around, you can hang around. We're not going to sign you or anything, but you can hang around. And so Norman, because he's just so obsessed with music, spends all his time just hanging around this label, not getting paid to do anything, hanging around the band that he went and saw for the first time, and just being around them all the time, but not making any money, so he still has to, rob and steal and whatever to get by. So one day, that band that he originally saw in the label, they're having a show, a pretty big show. And Norman, the keys player for that band, got sick. And at the time, I don't know what it was about keeping image, right? But Norman was like, I could fill in for him, but they didn't want him to just fill in. They wanted people to think it was the regular keys player. So they put Norman in a literal disguise, right?
Yeah.
Like literally in a wig and
That's
like
crazy.
a disguise, like did makeup on him.
Wow.
Put him in a disguise so he would look like the actual keys player.
That's
sat
funny.
him in the background, right?
Yeah.
He's playing these keys in this club. Like people are liking it. He's good, right? Here's where the story gets insanely crazy, right? All he was doing was filling in for that keys player. It was not like
One show, yeah.
It was not like it didn't change his trajectory with the label. But there was these two girls at the show, okay? They happened to be sex workers. That is how they made a living. Again, if Norman's making a living as a thief, it's probably, you can assume the kind of area he's in.
Right.
So these two girls are sex workers, and they really like Norman and the way he played the keys. They're like, oh, you're so good, whatever. They're flirting with him, whatever, right? So they want to hang out with him. They want to sleep with him. They want to do whatever. And he's just kind of like only caring about the music. He don't really care.
Yeah, right.
Respect.
So these girls, this is a true story. You can look this up and read the full article. Kidnap him. These two hookers kidnapped him, bro. Right? These two prostitutes kidnap him. And so they...
Like from the venue.
Bro,
like,
from the venue,
wow.
they take him hostage for 24 hours, basically. And they're like just hanging out with him, sleeping with him, doing whatever they want with him, right?
Yeah.
And then they let him go after 24 hours, okay? But they continue to want his attention. They continue to call him, to show up to his shows, to try to be around him, whatever. He doesn't really want anything to do with them.
Well,
but
rightfully so.
Rightfully so. He doesn't really want anything to do with them, but it's 1975. He can't really help it. There's not like, security isn't at his disposal like it is now. So they're bugging him. They just want to hang out with him, sleep with him, whatever. And they're like, what do we have to do to get you to be in our lives and to get you to be around us all the time? And long story short, he's like, I'm broke as shit, but all I want to do is make music. If you guys will pay for my studio time, I'll continue to hang out with you and sleep with you and this, that, and the third, right?
Yeah.
These girls agree to it. So Norman assembles this band. He calls the band We, and a bunch of people were telling him like, dude, just put it out as Norman Whiteside. Like it's your. He was the producer.
Yeah.
He was the keys. I'm pretty sure he was most of the vocals, like by himself, which I didn't realize when I first listened. I think they might have had one other vocalist in the group. He was directing and like writing the parts for every single instrument, like the arrangement, the vocal stacks, the instrumentation, the licks, the drums. In charge of every single part of that. And if you listen to, that's just one song. There's a whole album of it on Spotify, right?
Yeah.
And every single song is so complex that you're like, dude, how could one person think of this?
Yeah.
Like, it blows my mind that some random dude from Cleveland is so good and has such a musical mind that he can single-handedly produce and write and record one of the greatest soul records that I have ever heard in my freaking life. It outdoes anything else coming out around that time for me, personally.
Yeah.
Right? And all these songs are so deep in structure and complex. So Norman, all he cares about is this music, right?
Right.
So he continues to sleep with these girls, ends up getting both of them pregnant in the process because all he cared about is making the music.
Yeah.
And that was his only way to afford studio time to make the music. So he goes, and this is his way of getting studio time. He makes one of the illest soul records I've ever heard in my life, right? And then shortly after it releases, he literally just does like, he's not signed that label even after he made this beautiful record. They're like, it's not really what's popping right now. We don't really want it, right? That record still won't sign him. He shops it around. Nobody wants to sign him. So he puts it out independently, gets like, saves up some money to get like 1,000 vinyls pressed, right? Just 1,000 of them. Releases it locally around Cleveland, okay? Then, shortly after the release, dude, he gets arrested for some I don't know if it was drug trafficking or armed robbery, what it was. But long story short, gets arrested, goes to jail from 1977 or 78, whenever it was, to 2018.
Damn.
Wow.
Right? By the time
Is that 40 years?
Dude, I don't know. When it was a long time.
Yeah.
He gets locked up for a long time and is not able to ever get in the studio again to make more music and to capitalize off of what became one of the most popular genres in the world, right?
Yeah.
And so
Tragic.
he's just sitting in jail, rotting in jail, whatever. I found out after reading this article, he got out in 2018. It's 2023 when I discovered him, 2024 now. So I looked bro up. I'm like, what is he doing now? Like, this is insane. He has to like have some kind of recognition for this.
Yeah.
Like, he has to have some kind of a name for himself with how good this album is. The fact it was sampled by Kanye, the fact it was sampled by Tyler, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? He is a small, like a keyboard player at a Baptist church back in Cleveland. And like does the occasional show that gets 20 people.
Damn.
And now here's what really threw me off, right? I'm thinking, golly, dude, this dude was in jail for his entire prime. This is gonna be his only album. And it's just gonna be this album and that's it.
Yeah.
A little while ago, I'm driving in my car, I'm delivering DoorDash orders and stuff, right? I'm looking on my release radar. And it says that there's a new We song. I'm thinking, oh, dude, Spotify merged somebody else's with the same name.
Yeah.
So Spotify had to have merged it onto his profile, right? And so I'm flipping through my release radar. I click on this song just to make sure that's what it was. Because I knew there was another rapper, like there was some rapper who had tried to use that name and had ended up on their profile before I'd seen it. And so I click on it, and it's some soul stuff. I'm like, what is this, dude?
Boy's coming back.
Bro, listen. He dropped at, I think, 68 years old, his second album. 42 years. 42 years after his first one, he dropped his second album. Personal opinion, first one was better, but this one was still incredible, and he still got it. It's
That's
insane.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, overall, insane story
Yeah,
about
that's
somebody
wild.
who really just only cares about music, and that's like, I don't know, it's just kind of motivating to me that somebody can be going through that much hardship of like literally being homeless and kidnapped and broke and in jail and whatever, and still like the only thing that he cared about and wanted to do was make music. And I wonder a lot of the times, like, bro, if he never went to jail, like, probably could have been as big as whoever.
Probably.
But
yeah,
I don't know. The whole record's insane. I have it on vinyl. That's like one of the few vinyls that I've went out of my way to purchase.
Yeah.
I might just and searched for it for like 3 months, dude. Before finding.
I mean, honestly, after just hearing that one, I'm probably gonna go out of my way to find it as well.
Dude, you got to listen to the full record on Spotify.
Yeah, I need to after that one for sure.
It's insane.
So for the new one, did he write it in prison or was?
No, it was after he got out.
Yeah,
it was after he got out. He found, and I see him like, bro, he's on Facebook and like doesn't know how to work social media, obviously. But he's on he's on Facebook, and so he's got 600 friends on Facebook or whatever, and will just occasionally post stuff. And like I remember seeing like watching a Facebook Live that he posted of like a jam session that he did.
Nice.
And it was kind of sick, just to see this dude. He's like old now.
Yeah.
And he's got all these young guys from his church.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting in a room jamming and stuff. He's still on the keys, just insane with it. After being in jail for so many years, he's still insane on the keys. I don't know. It was just cool.
That's
dude.
wild.
It's a crazy story, but I just love it. I love it so much.
I mean, that shop's like top 5 craziest music stores I've
ever
heard.
Yeah,
that's
crazy. Out of all the crazy ones, that's
kidnapped by prostitutes, and then bargaining with them to pay for your studio time.
It is nuts.
Wild.
Yeah. And the results. Speaking for themselves too.
It was,
dude.
Bro, look, I don't obviously, I'm sure that was traumatic. Whatever he went through, it made for one of the best albums I've ever heard. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love the song. It was just grooving. The chorus was like so instantly like I hear it once, I was already singing it the second time.
Yeah,
like just beautiful.
It was good.
The bass line was great, and all the keys, like so many different ones. And
there's a later on the album he does, because that's the title track. The album is called "You Can Fly on My Aeroplane."
Yeah,
and there's a track later in it. That is a reprise where it's just him on synths, no other instruments and no vocals, just him playing that melody and all the harmonies with a bunch of different synth stacks.
Oh, that's sick.
And it's pretty ill.
That'll appeal to me. Yeah, because that's one thing I noticed, and I said this in the middle, but to go back and highlight it, it just was such a good example of lead in terms of rhythm, which is something that Boston used. Tom Scholz' philosophy, who is another just genius in music. If you know anything Boston, and if you guys know anything in Boston, Tom Scholz put the band to the first record in order to get it sold, but pretty much everything except drums and singing was Tom Scholz on Boston's first album, and that includes bass and keyboards. He was a classically trained organist. He kind of taught himself guitar. Is that right, Jack? Or
I think so.
I believe that's right. So, but
he just took the skills from one and kind of
and merged them to the other. And then, of course, knowing organ, you can kind of make your way around the piano, and knowing guitar, you can make your way around the bass. Yeah. So that's kind of what made the Boston sound on that first record. Is he was just another genius writing it all himself, doing it in literally his basement, and just kind of wiring things how he saw fit. Rewiring machines to get that Boston sound that you couldn't get anywhere else because the machines were all wired differently. And then, of course, just if you go back and listen through Boston's bass parts specifically, they are just nuts. It's that same philosophy of like bass is going off at all times, but it just matches exactly what the guitar is doing because it's another guitar part that's just happens to be lower in register. So. That philosophy, I love hearing that employed in especially the keyboards in this record. It was so nice to hear.
Yeah. And they're like, for me, like when I did a little thing, I was watching a Tyler, the Creator interview. I think it was his Converse interview in Paris. He was kind of talking about like when you like something, evaluate why. Evaluate why this thing appeals to you. What characteristics make it appeal to you. for me, after I heard him talk about that, and I'm like, these are my favorite songs. Like, my favorite Tyler the Creator songs are IFHY with Pharrell and Gone Gone Thank You. Why are these my favorite? Oh, the vocal stacks. The cleanliness and how clean the vocal stacks are on certain records can literally get me more high than any drug in the world, of just like, that's what I want to hear. That, dude. And then, like, if you get the right kind of like drum groove to add on to it, and you get the right type of like I love arpeggiators. Those are some of my favorite sounds in the world, are just arpeggiators, right? And so I'm like, okay, these are the things I love, but I also love like distorted bass and stuff. Like, one of my first introductions to like musical independence as far as my taste goes was XXXTentacion. And so obviously X's early stuff is all just the most distorted, crunchy bass you've ever heard, and just screaming into a Blue Yeti microphone. Like that, but like find a way to merge it with the pretty stuff.
Right.
And like I'm like thinking, like starting to process, okay, this is why I like this, this is why I like this. And it allowed me to really develop what I love and what makes me love it, and find other things like it, and then apply it to what I make. And so that's why when you hear Chasing Shadows, the reason that's exactly like that, you got the reason I love that song so much, you got your mallet, like glissando, whatever it is, arpeggiating up the thing. You got these big vocal stacks I made in the background. And there was a version, it didn't come out, but there was a version where when it gets to the like the backing vocals going, wait, and it's like really reverbed or whatever. There was a version that I originally had produced where all the pretty instruments cut out, and it's just this distorted synth bass. Just this big note.
That'd be sick.
And some vocal, like crazy. So I didn't want to do that because it was just like kind of a choice of like, okay, this has this one vibe through the whole thing. It's a little too crazy to switch it up that instantly. But that was me just taking, okay, let's take my favorite things from all these different genres and put it all in one pretty little box that I just love. And so that's what I hear on this record is like, oh, like bro Norman, he just probably loved his vocal stacks. I know he loved keys. That's why there's 20 different synthesizers and they're coming in and out through the whole record. Constantly. And you got like all these different licks being hit mostly on keys rather than, guitar solos and stuff like that. Just because bro loved the keys and loved the vocal stacks and loved the churchy arrangements and stuff and the key changes. Like, that's the stuff that I'm like, oh, dude, this is what what differentiates this from a lot of the other music at the time is how authentic he was to what he loved. And all he loved and all he cared about was music. And you can just tell. It's a sick record.
It's great.
Now the whole like merging of all those different ideas, like I'm a big fan of like the whole, you said like the pretty stuff, the ugly stuff, like the kind of heaven and hell thing. Just it really can, like, that's not like apparent all the time where you're like thinking about like stylistically what you're trying to like imitate. A lot of stuff's like the same, but when you kind of bring two things from left and right field together, it makes it really unique and it makes it really special. And like this guy obviously is like such a genius. Like it can only come from like that singular meeting of ideas, which is just brilliant. Like you don't find a record like that every day,
Right.
It's crazy.
Makes it stand out.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Makes you remember it forever.
I think we've got a song that's going to help you do that. We're going to return the favor with one of our favorite progressive rock songs from the 80s. Right, Jack? Am I right on that?
Pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure. 81, I believe.
Signals, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. But I mentioned to you earlier, we got one. I don't think it's like up that alley, but it's a very cool one.
Just different one. Yeah.
Different, but especially different for the artist at this time. This is Rush Subdivisions. For those sitting at home that know Rush, this is one of their biggest songs. Teezy has told us he's unfamiliar with Rush, and this is especially one that, knowing his genre, knowing, having heard Chasing Shadows earlier, which is a great song and can recommend you go listen to out on all streaming platforms, right? Yeah. So,
it's out there.
Hearing what he's done, being a good friend of ours, I think we could show him something very cool in this Rush song. For a little bit of context for you.
Is that the music video?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
It is. So for a little
I'm gonna watch the music
for
video
a little
too.
bit of context for you, this was their second album, basically, where they started embracing the new wave synthesizer approach.
Oh, dude.
And incorporating it with their progressive rock roots.
When was this? 82?
82. Okay, yeah. 82. So this was the album just after the one with Tom Sawyer and YYZ and Limelight.
Big hits.
Yeah, like that huge record that came out, basically a greatest hits compilation of itself.
Yeah.
They followed that up with this, which further embraced the synthesizer sound they kind of started hinting they were going to try and go for on that record. And they really amped it up. They've got something cool. Your notification's on, you're fired. Get out of here.
Can I watch the music video along with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for music videos. I like making music videos and watching music videos and stuff.
So, without further ado, Rush Subdivisions to a person who has not listened to Rush, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I've heard of them, but no.
Right. So yeah, this is their album after Tom Sawyer and Limelight and YYZ, their like greatest hits compilation, basically that's not actually labeled greatest hits. They followed that up with this album that Subdivisions is on called Signals, where they more embraced their, I guess, synthesizer-driven sound.
That's what it turned into.
Yeah, I hate to say it that way because it's not really synthesizer-driven,
well,
but it's very new.
It was way more than they were before.
Right, right. So yeah, but then you could argue, they got more into synth-driven as they kept going into the 80s. Yeah. So it's I would say it's the last good one for a minute in like the hardcore fans' eyes of like the that seems to be the consensus.
But like the kind of hits off this are just so good. People give them a pass, like this song.
Yeah. So but then next was Power Windows, right?
Yeah. Which most people don't like.
Right.
Even though I like every Rush record.
Right, but, yeah. So I guess hindsight's a little bit nicer, but
of course.
At the time it was like, what is this?
Yeah,
this is just a ramp up to synthesizers. So, I mean, I can see it. But yeah, without further ado, here is Rush Subdivisions to Mr. Teezy 222.
Let's do it. Yeah, no.
Stank face.
I'm taking my glasses off for this one. Oh,
it's a classic sound.
That minor, dude. Pause.
What?
Nothing. Not pause. My bad. Lingo.
Such a vibe.
That really terrible slow-mo.
Yeah.
Slow-mo. That's so funny.
Sprawling on the fringes of the city in geometric order.
That's such a weird chord progression.
Yeah,
it is.
That's Rush, yeah.
Between the bright lights and the far unlit unknown. Growing up, it all seems so one-sided. Opinions all provided.
I need his hair.
I
need to make my hair like that.
Detached and subdivided.
Great seeing those guys so young.
I know.
Dude, I love the terrible slow-mo. It looks so good.
It does, yes. It's so iconic.
B-roll.
1980s high school, dude.
Coming into that.
Dude, just no respect for like cinema angling on the music video.
In the shopping malls, conformity cast out. In the basement bars, in the backs of cars, we come the
he's watching. Yeah.
Such a good lyric writing.
His dad said, "Quit thinking about rock and roll, bruh. Get on the books."
Such a good synth solo here too.
Oh, that's simply, dude. I love like the pink filter they put over it.
I know, yeah.
Run like moths, we drift into the city, the timeless soul attraction, cruising for the action, lit up like a firefly, just to feel the living night.
You saw what I looked up?
Huh?
You saw what I looked up? Or no?
I did.
Where some will sell their dreams for small desires and lose the race to rise, get caught in ticking traps and start to dream of somewhere to relax their restless flight, somewhere out of a memory of lighted streets on quiet nights.
My favorite bass line
I know.
ever.
Subdivisions.
That's the song. Yeah.
Subdivisions.
The way he looks at the camera too is just so
Dude.
fun.
Oh, that's such a terrible transition, dude. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Alex Life's a moment.
There it is. There's the rock. Rock and roll video arcade. Just the random screen recording of an arcade game.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh yeah, synthwave. We're going synthwave. We're going neon with it.
Oh, here we are. Just the static shot.
That's insane. That's insane.
Love that song so much.
That's crazy.
Fucking banger.
That's
Absolutely
insane.
incredible.
That's crazy.
That song actually kind of is single-handedly, almost not single-handedly, kind of a big reason of the part of why I'm like the musician I am today, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so when I was kind of growing up, like I was playing music, I was playing piano at the time, but I wasn't really like into music. I didn't have like bands that I followed or stuff I was super into. And one day my dad was like, "Hey man, you like," and I'd never been to a concert either before, like a real concert ever.
Yeah.
Other than like high school stuff, you know.
You just like, yeah, I play piano.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my dad one time was like, out of nowhere, was like, "Oh, hey man, we're going to a concert." I was like, why? Like, I literally,
Why?
Like, that was my honest reaction. I was like, oh, why? Like, I didn't, like, that's not something we do. He's like, no, man, there's this band that I love growing up. Like, we're going to see him. I haven't seen him in forever. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. So we drove 2 hours up to Columbus, Ohio to see Rush on their Clockwork Angels tour.
Okay, yeah.
And I literally, like, never heard any of their songs. Didn't know. I didn't know why my dad asked me to go. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why he did either. He just wanted me to experience it, I guess. And I remember,
son bonding
yeah, exactly.
moment in a family of all other sisters and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. And I remember we got there late. So we got there on, like, the literal last note of the first song, which I now know was The Big Money, which I also like. But the second song was Subdivision. So this was, like, the first concert song I've ever heard in my life. And, like, when that intro dude, like, changed, like, that concert literally changed my life and literally, like, made me the musician I am now. And they made Rush my favorite band instantly. So that memory of that intro of Subdivisions coming in, like
dude, that bass,
that's right. Oh,
that synth bass,
yeah,
it's nuts,
incredible,
gnarly.
It is
dude,
just nuts.
Wait, when did this release?
82.
Bro, this is like all I could hear in the production aspects of it, like obviously not the vocal production as much, but all I could hear in the production was is the final countdown, which was what, 85?
87, that one I believe.
Dude, insane. Like that era of music is so crazy. Like just going ham on the drum set, hitting all these tom runs and stuff.
Which Neil Peart is
one of the greatest of all time,
dude. And then like the synth stacks on top of it, insane, dude. I love the effect, the vocal effect that's like not used as much. What is it like? It's either one of two things. Either he recorded 2 takes and panned them, or like he has like a chorus effect or like a phaser or something.
They probably double tracked it, but
dude,
yeah, it sounds like it's a little mix of both. Like it's double tracked to sound big and washy, and then there's some like phase or chorus or something. It's a combination of the two.
It just sounds so sick.
Oh yeah,
and like that. The video did really good. Of like, bro, it's such. I love how I love how terrible music videos were.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, this slow mo looks absolutely disgusting, terrible, and like they're
no cinematography.
Cinematography, dude. They're just like filming some kid walking through a high school and like almost running into somebody else and like leaving it in. It's all shaky and stuff. But then it's like cutting back and forth between that and like the band playing, and they got the filter to make everything look all pink and it just looks sick. And it's like something that back then it's like you got such technological limitations, but they're like, we're still gonna make this,
it work.
Gotta make it
record,
work.
this ill music video, and dude, I like it.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sure a little bit of it was budget as well.
They weren't raking in money.
There's the infamous Separate Ways music video that they could not afford to get their instruments until the last day of filming on set, I believe is the story. So I'm sure there was something like that where it's like, how much money have we got? We don't.
A couple bucks. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But I love that, dude.
Yeah, they were kind of always ahead of their time and like getting those crazy sounds and stuff. Yeah. It was just like nobody else was doing that at that time.
You hear
especially in the rock scene specifically.
Right. Because they were definitely in a weird position where I feel like they weren't to the status of Yes or King Crimson or like any of the other progressive rock like giants. Not that they weren't huge in that, but they just had a little bit more, I guess.
Well, part of it came from them.
Appeal?
Well, yeah, and part of it came from them being just the 3 of them,
Right.
Like they weren't, when you think of like a big prog band, you're like, like 5 people, and you got all like the orchestration, but they were just like, I mean, when they started out, they were just 3 dudes playing like good old fashioned rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
And then they kind of got crazier when they added Neil and stuff. They kind of got more into the songwriting, more into the crazy stuff.
And then 2112 was basically a don't tell us what to do, but also okay, fine, we know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So they're very interesting in that they nailed a commercial structure that successively throughout Genesis and Yes and King Crimson's careers, they kind of just, and I'm sure there's others, but they just kind of kept nailing it, but differently. Rush was very consistent, and I think that helped their audience a whole lot.
Always unique too.
Yeah. Always very like, oh, that's Rush. And then you get to Yes in the 80s and you hear Owner of a Lonely Heart and you're like,
on that
okay,
record,
it's good, but that's Yes.
On that record, do they have any like, I'm curious, like this could be completely not true, but like, do they have any like same sort of sound but like slowed down and like mellow?
Yes, they do.
Mellow, because bro, that type of production, for me, and this is like obviously personal opinion, but like when you mellow it out and make it like just something to rock with and just kind of vibe with, but you still got all those crazy sounds flying around your ears, and you still got the bass licks on a keyboard and like all types of stuff. It's just like, it's something that you hear sometimes nowadays, but it's not.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jack. He literally just described losing it. He did. Didn't
Great
he?
song.
Yeah. Off the same
I'll
album,
listen
there's
to
a
it.
song called "Losing It," and it's basically everything you described. So
I'll listen to it for sure. I love like, I don't know, dude. The ability of some people to, and I think that, you know, that the one thing that has in common with the Wii record is how good some people are at sound selection when using so many synthesizers. Like that's something that I strive for a lot. And this album that I just finished, which depending on when this comes out, like might be out. I'm gonna say it right now. Infomercials,
that,
bro.
yeah, we can coordinate that.
Been working on this album, Infomercials, and did a lot of the production on it. And it's one of the first ones that I've done a lot. Like I did way more production myself on this record than most of my other stuff. And dude, the skill and the time and the practice that it takes when you're working with synthesizers to choose sounds that mesh together.
Yeah.
And to choose sounds that really blend and complement each other, dude, because there's every single synthesizer you touch has 1,000 different sounds, 1,000 different presets, 1,000 different modifications.
You get like decision paralysis.
Dude, you gotta like, and I mean, it not in like a, like as humbly as possible or as respectfully as possible. People who are starting out production, that's a skill that takes so much time to learn. So they're like, why can't I get my record to sound like this or sound like these other records that have these synths? Like they have just as many synths, but they're not like working together. Why can't I get it? My chord progression's right. My structure, my arrangement is right. Why can't I get it? It's because, bro, sound selection when you're producing in general, right? So hard to get. It takes.
It's got to put in the hours.
It took me, bro. I've literally been making beats and writing songs since I was 10 years old. And I don't think that I learned how to properly do sound selection when producing until probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, dude.
Yeah,
it takes a minute. Yeah.
I was probably 19 when I made my first record that I really was like, oh, I got all the sound selection right on this. The drums, the melodies, the everything that I did on this, I love it. Like, that takes so long to do, and I had so many records and so many songs that I made where it's like the melody could be cool. It could be cool, but I picked the wrong sounds.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong things that don't complement each other. And when you're listening to something like this, that especially at the time when it's such a new thing and it's such a thing that people aren't really doing as much of. People have touched on it. Obviously, you got you got all your other bands using heavy synths at the time or whatever. But like, it's not, and it's super common in the R&B world at that time too.
Yeah.
But trying to make something that blends so well together without like it being overbearing it's impressive when you're able to, and that did it. That captured it.
And especially because they're coming in, they got to merge that with their pre-existing kind of rock sound.
Right.
That they've kind of built up for themselves.
Yeah. Which rock isn't like my primary genre, so it's nice to listen to it from a outside perspective.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
As somebody who, you know, after gaining kind of, you know, I'm in 5th grade. I started kind of, in my opinion, gaining I guess musical taste and like independence from what my parents would just play, right? Because my parents, I've said this on another interview I did with DJ AWOL. Shout out DJ AWOL and WMTS. But my parents growing up, dude, all they played is like contemporary white people Christian music. And bro, anybody in music who really knows music knows that 2008 to 2010 run of white people Christian music was the worst thing musically in the world. Stop saying you're a good father over and over and over and over again.
Got opinions in here.
Bro.
Got opinions in here.
Very specific beat.
I love God. I love worship music. Bro, it was I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And so when I come into the age where it's like, okay, I have access to my own music now that I can find. it's like the first thing I gravitate towards is hip hop music because, I mean, one, probably slightly rebelliously, I was never able to listen to it as a kid.
That'll have something to do with it.
I can't turn around, like, when my parents are in the car playing, they're playing David Crowder and turn around and say, hey, can you play Lil Wayne? Can you play Kanye? They're not playing no Kanye, dude. My mom still doesn't know 95% of the artists I talk about.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, I'm gaining my taste. I'm gaining my independence as a music enjoyer. So, okay, let's take, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, there's certain things that I can pick out in here that I have listened to over my time, just enjoying music and listening, that I like. But I've never, like, other than, like, Queen, dude, like, I don't dive into this type of genre very much.
That's fair.
I don't dive into, like, I am a rap and hip hop enjoyer, a R&B, soul, a gospel, and slightly a jazz fan. Like that's what I listen to more than any, and pop music. But that's what I listen to more than anything. So I never take a deep dive into rock. So hearing somebody take certain elements of, like, bro, I love synth stacks. I love like, not glitchy, but like over processed vocals, kind of like sitting and floating around your head, kind of almost as their own kind of synthesizer.
Right.
Like, hearing that in a completely different context, sick.
Yeah.
I love it.
I really figured you were going to pick up on that. That was one of the things where it's like, yeah, he doesn't listen to it, I'm pretty sure, but there's enough there in what I've heard that you do as an artist that I was like, yeah. Because your whole thing about kind of going off and experiencing your own taste on music, I know I've said this before on this podcast or YouTube series, but you haven't heard this. My emo phase of music, where I kind of started discovering myself, my household was very rock, but like southern rock and like arena rock. So Journey, Queen, but like mostly the hits, and then 38 Special and Leonard Skinner and all that type of stuff. So my branch out phase was when I heard Skrillex for the first time and Deadmau5 for the first time.
Bro, yes.
I went to a dubstep phase.
Yeah.
And I now realize, looking back after my double rack put together and learning how to play leads and synths and all that type of stuff like that, both like rhythm synthesizer and lead synthesizer, I realize now that me latching onto dubstep was the beginnings of my keyboard and synthesizer mind taking hold.
Bro, you take it with you.
Right.
You take it with you 100%.
And some of the previous episodes on this series by now, we have out where I dive into some of those EDM and dubstep songs that have still stuck with me, that still influence the way that I play and the way I think about synthesizer building. And especially once I kind of realized, okay, hang on, there's something for me in rock now that I'm really starting to learn keyboards, but I really want to push myself. That's when I started learning the old that my parents had got back into. I lapsed back into them, but then I started going, okay, there's a world of rock they didn't touch either with progressive rock, with these Yes records, where the songs are either long or really short. And these King Crimson records where they're doing nothing like what everybody else is doing, but there's still a guitar in there somewhere if you can pick through the nonsense. Dude. And so that similar type of journey of finding yourself and then kind of figuring out what you like, I'm right there with you when it comes to that.
That's I just love music that I can pull, like, pieces of different genres that have nothing to do with that song.
Yeah.
I can pull my knowledge about that and, like, see it through that lens a little bit. Like, again, I'm listening to this and I'm like, the only thing I could think of is The Final Countdown. Freaking, or like some old.
Don't be too mad at him for that, by the way. He's young to this genre.
I don't know this genre. Dog, at this ain't, like, I don't know, dude. But I'm just like, it's just cool. It's just cool. Like, good. It's almost like I don't know. I'm not too into, like, what would I describe it as? Synthwave rock or something?
You could. That is funny because, like, no one back then would, like, even have the words to, like, describe it as that. But, like, coming from our perspective, like, current day, looking back, that totally, like, fits. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's elements of new wave as it developed and shot off at the end of the 80s, and development of, like, almost synth pop and the way some of the synthesizers are built.
I'm listening to this and I'm like, this synth structure, dude. You hear that a lot in modern pop.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Puth, dude.
Yeah.
If you dive into Charlie Puth records, because he produces his own stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
If you dive into Charlie Puth records, you see, bro, some of that synth structure and some of that stacking of different synth elements mixed with like the upbeat drums and stuff.
Right.
And the vocal processing, like completely different genres, completely different sounds.
Yeah.
But those elements are there.
Right.
And so, I don't know, dude. Like that's just what I take from it. That's just what I take from it. I'm looking at it.
I think we fully shell shocked Teezy.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good
Well,
thing.
Oh, a little bit, yeah. No, because I don't listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why
I
we
like
were
it.
excited to have you on, because like
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of from like the old fashioned like prog rock, and I'm like the very modern. So we've got like a difference there, but it's still the same like, genre, you know, just different years. But having somebody that's like totally
Oblivious.
Yeah.
I'm just a ignorant rapper trying to.
It's okay. You're learning, and this is your little funnel to get into it. So.
But also, we're learning about your stuff too, you know?
Right.
Because like,
Oh, dude, I could talk about it forever.
Yeah, exactly.
I could talk about it.
Because I'm the exact same way with like a lot of the R&B stuff. Like that was never part of my life. So
Right.
When I look at that stuff, I can kind of latch on to like some of the bass playing, because that's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And some of the
bro.
like song structure, but I like in
same with
terms
me
of
on
like
the keys,
diving deep into it, I don't know anything.
You listen to gospel?
I love gospel. I've been trying to expand my like playing, because I've been such a metal guy for a long time.
I love gospel.
Yeah.
I love, and that's the stuff that like people don't hear from me. Obviously, like one of the reasons I wanted to do this so bad was just because I'm such a geek about so many different genres and stuff, dude. That like I never get to talk about it.
Yeah.
I never get to like sit down and just be like, bro. And that's why I didn't pick a rap song, bro. I could have easily. I've been obsessed with King Hendrix. Y'all don't even know who that is. This is this trap, this real like trap artist who's like new in the rap world. Blowing up right now, and that's like real hood music that I love. It's real hood music that I love. I could have easily picked that, but I'm like, dude, I want to pick something that like. You gotta really like digest. You gotta really sit, and that's where I think of like, dude, I love 90s R&B more than just about anything in the world. I love Brandy, Mary J. Blige. Mariah Carey has one of my top 5 albums of all time. Emancipation of Mimi by Mariah Carey, 2005.
Oh yeah.
It's produced mostly by Jermaine Dupri. Jermaine Dupri is one of the most underrated songwriters and producers in the world. Okay, this dude created so much stuff and is one of the all-time GOATs when it comes to songwriting in general, right? But this 2005 Mariah Carey record just happens to be one of my favorite records of all time just because of the musicality of it.
Oh yeah.
The production, the songwriting, the versatility stylistically and stuff, dude. I remember I got it like it was when I was 16 years old, dude. I got my first car, and it's got a CD player in it, bro. I'm going to Goodwill and finding records and stuff, or finding old CDs that I just wanted to give a shot. And obviously, I knew who Mariah Carey was, but never took a deep dive.
Yeah.
And I find an Emancipation of Mimi CD, almost brand new at Goodwill for $1. Of course, I'm gonna try it out, right?
Yeah.
Bro, I put that in the CD player, listened to it front to back, on repeat for like 3 months.
Oh, dude, I love that. Yeah.
This is in the R&B world. I see this as another one kind of like this, where it's like so underrated. People don't like pay attention to it. Everyone knows Mariah Carey. This song, not a lot of people know. There's a song called "Mine Again." It's track number 4 on the Emancipation of Mimi. "Mine Again" by Mariah Carey, and that key change ability. There's a key change 2/3 into the song.
Yeah.
Insane. It's like this slow jam, like just really rock groovy whatever, but it's got Mariah Carey hitting her obviously insane runs and insane harmonies and whatever. That record changed my life. It's so good. But like I love taking I'm gonna wrap it up, but I love taking my reference points and just applying them to stuff like this because I don't. It's not my reference.
It sounds like to me, honestly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we've got enough material for a potential episode 2 of you down the line,
dude.
Good conversations. Man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'll talk about music forever.
I don't care. Good. You and your crew for sure. We might just expand the hip hop producer. Get a bigger couch first, and then get more people.
Bro, I can
get some more of your crew. Yeah,
I can 100% put some people on here.
Yeah,
they would love to just sit down, and I'll be honest. I think I'm the biggest nerd out of all of them.
Good.
But I know some people.
That means they got something to live up to. They got a high bar to cross because you're on a couch with some prog rock nerds as well. Mm-hmm. We speak the language, but yeah, I think this has been a good conversation.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah,
I think it's been incredible to have you on. Just my opinion, but I think it's been great to have you on. If you guys like Teezy, go find him wherever he's at. Under a rock, on a bridge.
TeezyCo.com.
At Goodwill.
Yeah.
TeezyCo.com.
Yeah, and he's out on all streaming platforms. Speaking of streaming platforms, if you like what you heard here today, we have got a playlist that we made on our Spotify, 1on1Soul, that you can find every song we've put on this whole YouTube series. So you can discover what we've done here and really listen to it, dive deeper into the artist for yourself, and maybe find another song by accident that you want to see the other episodes for. So plenty more for you to discover. With that said, thanks for joining us on this guest episode 2. More to come with Teezy and his crew, without Teezy and his crew. So stick around, subscribe, keep updated, and we will see you on the next one.